ESPN's FPI Football Power Index preseason top 25 rankings has just been released this morning. We're going to be going through it. And also, Arizona State's Money Perch, his newest letter delivered to us on April 15th. We can now finally release it here on April 18th this morning, all in episode 193 of College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, subscribe to our channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go to the FPI. Then we're going to be going to the Arizona State Money Perch letter. We're not going to go through the whole article here on ESPN. We do provide a link in the description. College football's FPI release, top tiers, conference races, and playoff hopes by Seth Walder of ESPN. Ohio State's 2022 ended in dramatic heartbreak in the college football playoff, but immediate redemption could be on the horizon. The Buckeyes are the best team in the nation and the favorites to win the national championship, according to ESPN's Football Power Index and the All-State Playoff Predictor. The Buckeyes have a 37% chance. Wow, holy smokes. 37% chance to win the title, well ahead of Alabama at 20% and defending champion Georgia at 19%, according to the models. Before we dive too far into the Buckeyes, other title contenders, and the rest of the forecasted college football landscape, a quick refresher. What is FPI? And how do we project the season in college football playoff race? FPI is our season-long ratings and projection system. In the preseason, it relies on past performance on offense and defense, return and transfer production, and past recruiting data for players on the roster to form a rating. We then use those ratings to simulate the season 20,000 times, resulting in our projections. So this preseason FPI rating, the rankings, top 25, it's based upon past performance on offense and defense, your returning starters, your transfers that are coming in, recruiting rankings. Obviously, it can't go about putting into the algorithm, putting into the models of performances during the season, because this is a preseason ranking. So it's limited data, but it's fun to look at. Let's take a look at the top 25. Number 25, North Carolina. Oregon State, 24. Baylor, 23. Texas Tech is getting a lot of love from people and this computer model. The Texas Tech Red Raiders, 22. And of course, Washington Huskies. Our prediction here to win the Pac-12 championship in 2023. Washington sits at number 21. And the rest of the top 20, Wisconsin's at 20. Texas A&M is tied at 18 with who? The Florida Gators? I wouldn't have the Florida Gators anywhere near the top 25. But again, this is based on models of past performances from certain players and recruiting rankings that you have on your roster at this point in time. TCU 17, Ole Miss 16, Utah, the two-time defending Pac-12 champions, number 15. Florida State and Oregon are tied with 13. I tell you what, in the PATC preseason top 25, we're going to have Florida State in the top 5. No question about it. Tennessee, number 12. Oklahoma, 11. Penn State and Nittany Lions make the top 10 in the FPI top 25. Notre Dame, number 9. Clemson, 8. USC, 7. Michigan, 6. I would have expected in the FPI Power Index that Michigan would be in the top 5. With all that, with returning production, wow, I'm very surprised at that. They're a stacked team. Texas number 5, it's a little high, but FPI has it. Their model says Texas number 5. LSU number 4, Georgia 3, Alabama 2, and the Ohio State Buckeyes number 1. And if you go through the whole article, you'll see how they describe Ohio State, Alabama, and Georgia, a clear top tier of those 3 teams. And there's a large gap between those 3 and the rest of the schools in college football. Read that whole article. It's fascinating. We'll be keeping an eye, keeping a track on FPI during the football season. And now let's get to the big story of today. We finally can release the newest Arizona State Money Perch letter. If you don't know who the Arizona State Money Perch is, it's our source of ours at Peek Around the Corner, who's been nailing this story here about the Pac-12 saga that's been going on with the Pac-12 meeting negotiations, and before that, years before that, when he gave us the inside on the formation of the Arizona State men's hockey program. Let's get into the letter. We can't quite go through the whole letter. We're going to leave some parts out, but most of it we can share with you all. It was delivered to us 8:15 in the morning, April 15th. April 15th at 8:15. We can finally deliver this to you on April 18th. I feel less stress, and blank, can't say the name, doesn't seem to be stressed out anymore. A month ago, it hit everybody hard. But now everyone is just dealing with the facts. We don't know how the new media deal will look like. I don't think anyone could possibly know at this date and time. But we do know generally the level of revenue and exposure we will receive for the next 5 years. He keeps bringing up 5 years in this letter. So he must think the Arizona State Money Perch has been told that once the deal gets done, it'll be a 5-year deal. That's the Arizona State Money Perch. We only can get delivered to you what he says, right? According to him, next 5 years, 5 years, 5 years. Back to the letter. We do know generally the level of revenue and exposure we will receive for next 5 years, and it's not a sustainable level for our athletic department. Whatever they get, that level of exposure and money is not sustainable. The level is known. The details are completely unknown. The details, who our media partners will be for the next 5 years, is completely unknown. The details have become unimportant, as crazy as it would sound to anyone outside these walls. The only detail of importance is ESPN. We need to have them as a partner in some capacity because we need them to talk about us, the Pac-12, no matter where their priorities are every week. The other details have declined in importance. It doesn't matter if we have, let's say, 20 football games on USA Network and another 14 on the CW, while putting another 29 games on Apple TV, for example. If all the schools remain throughout the spring, all schools will end up signing whatever deal George Kliavkoff puts together, according to the Money Perch at Arizona State. If the schools remain in the Pac-12 throughout the spring here, we'll all end up signing a deal, whatever that deal is. He'll get into the reasons why in the letter. We know the level. Okay, whatever deal George Kliavkoff puts together, Kliavkoff will put a deal together and it's going to be subpar. We know the level. The level is not sustainable. Besides the ESPN component, all the other stuff has turned into noise. Why would any school sign an unsustainable offer is quite easy to understand if you are living this every day. If you are a school with no options, without it being your choice that you have no other options, you agree to this Pac-12 deal. If you are a school with no options because of a combination of your choices and other outside choices, you will also agree to this Pac-12 deal. I think he's referring to Washington and Oregon, but he doesn't put schools in this letter. If you are a school with options on paper but can't gain enough institutional support to make a realignment move to the Big 12, you agree to the Pac-12 deal. And again, I think he's pointing to the Four Corner schools, or at least 3 of those Four Corner schools. But again, he doesn't put the actual school names in here. This will surprise people, but schools with options to realign themselves with the Big 12 don't need much more time to know if they can gather enough institutional support to press forward. Institutional support can mean a vast array of different items, depending on the school. Board of Regents, boosters, and key alumni, throw in longtime athletic department sponsors in the community. Do you have the support to exercise your option? If you do you take the decision to move to the Big 12? Time is still needed to determine the answers to these questions, but I've been told we are at the last phase, and that's the money shot of this letter, from Arizona State Money Perch. Time is still needed to determine the answers to these questions. Can they gather enough institutional support to make a realignment move to the Big 12? But I've been told we are at the last phase. Arizona schools are gathering up the information needed to make their move. The process to move is becoming clear. Not much more can be ascertained after the middle of May. Arizona State Money Perch has mentioned this middle of May before. We've talked about it on a live show at Peek Around the Corner. Now he's being even more descriptive. Not much more can be ascertained after the middle of May. Arizona State has an option available if they do not want to take unsustainable media deal with the Pac-12. We will know if we have the support needed to make a move here real soon. Again, he sent this letter to us April 15th. We believe Arizona is on same exact path. Colorado is probably where we're at, but I am less sure of Colorado. First 2 weeks of May is the time where everything that is needed to make a decision will be at our disposal. More time does nothing. We may know the final details of a media deal in early June, but we know the most important detail right now, and that it's unsustainable. Media networks have already spoken. The deal will be unsustainable. Who wants to be part of an athletic conference who will be falling behind not only the ACC, the SEC, and the Big Ten, but we will be falling behind the Big 12 for the next 5 years. Again, he brings up 5 years. Leadership at Arizona State, Arizona, and Colorado are now engaged in support of realigning their schools. This has been going on for a while, and we are in the last phase. Again, he mentions the last phase. The more I discuss this with other people, the more convinced we all are that there is no reason for Arizona State, Colorado, if they decide to leave the Pac-12, if they receive enough institutional support, that they should push this out past the middle of May. First half of May, if you are going to do it, no more time is needed. Work is almost done. If support is not there, we at Arizona State take on water for another 5 years. Hopefully, we are still wanted in another 5 years. That's the Arizona State Money Perch letter. Put down your comments and thoughts in the next live show. Keep your head on a swivel. We can pop up at any time. But in our next PATC live show, we're going to be talking about this letter and other information that we have gathered. That's why we believe there's other information besides this letter. We really think the hot spot is between April 28th and May 17th. April 28th and May 17th. These schools that want to leave, if they gather enough institutional support, as this letter says, that's the time to make the move. There is no value in waiting any longer. I know that sounds crazy. It sounds a little crazy to me, to be honest. Why wouldn't you want to see? You have to see what the Pac-12 deal comes up with, what George Kliavkoff comes up with. But again, you have to understand, inside those walls, inside the walls of Arizona State in particular, because we've been receiving information from them since January 31st, they've been told a lot of things that have not come true. The trust isn't there. The fracture is within the conference. The California plan that the University of California, they try to move the California, Stanford, Oregon, and Washington into the Big Ten right after those meetings on December 14th. During that time, with the UCLA forcing the Bruins to pay a calimony tax to the University of California, Berkeley Athletic Department. All of that is in play here. All the distrust, the fracture that's happened in the Pac-12, and knowing that they really have no decent deal in front of them, knowing the certain level that they're going to get when it comes to exposure and money in this new deal. When you put all that into there, the letter starts making some sense, even to those outside the walls. Let me know what you think. Is he on the beaten path? Or is he has his cheese completely slipped off his cracker? Let me know here at Peek Around the Corner. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.